you guys are kind of weak on the agenda, so I'm going to liven it up.
I just want to find these in case I lost them here.
Liven it up. Victoria smells like a sewer. When she sits next to me, just to, cause she doesn't bathe before the meetings.
Yep, we're good. Whenever you're ready.
Which is unfortunate for everybody.
It's not mine. It's not my garbage. I don't know why it's on my seat. I didn't put it here.
All right,
Kathy, can we put this somewhere?
the time is 6:30 and I'm gonna call the meeting to
Why are you
order.
asking the manager that you're already overburdening to pick up your garbage that's sitting here?
What are you talking
What do you
about?
take
Loss?
and put in the trash yourself?
Okay.
I realize it's difficult for you to pick
Congratulations.
up.
Hello, we're
Lost.
calling
I
the
didn't put it
meeting
here.
to order.
Congratulate Lost on her
Can we have
ascendancy
a
to
roll
presidency.
call, please?
Looks like Priscilla failed.
Failed again.
Had to, you had to fail. You failed. You couldn't hack it anymore as president.
Couldn't handle it. I think probably her lawyer told her she's got to tone down the
Okay,
activity level. It's not-
order.
it doesn't
We're
look like
having
a
roll
TV.
call, so stop speaking out of turn, both of you.
Right. She couldn't do it another year. She was too fatigued.
Tired enough.
Had to get 40 years of that. You know, you're too fatigued.
38, 37 times.
37.
DeLeon.
Too fatigued. She couldn't hack it anymore.
Ms. DeLeon.
Couldn't hack
I
it.
am here. Oh, wait,
I'm here. I'm ready to go.
Wait a minute. Mr. Croce.
They complain when I'm here. They complain when I'm not here.
You fell off the stand too.
Ms. Cordero.
They complain when I'm here. They complain when I'm not here.
Also present.
I got them
Miserable times.
always in their mind.
People are
Always
miserable.
in their mind.
Lucian. Township Engineer Brian Cocker.
Always in their mind.
Assistant Stacy Workheiser. And our junior council person, Nitya Takar.
All right, let's stand for the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Justice for all. So if you want to stand and do the Trump dance, please do. Anybody? There you go, Jason. Excellent
All
Trump
right,
dance.
so we did not
The
meet
over-under
in
on the gavels, we have a new
executive
president, so the over-under on the gavels, the over-under
Okay,
the
you are
gavel
not
is going to
recognized,
be
so please be quiet.
about, we have to go a little lower, although she's off to a great
We did not meet in
start.
executive session,
With
so we have
70 and a
nothing to
half
discuss
is the
there.
over-under. 70 and a
I'll
half
go
is the
over the
over-under for the
public
gavels.
comment
You take the over,
procedure.
She's off to a good start.
The public comment
70.
procedure was updated at the last meeting.
What's the difference?
So
How did it change?
basically, the changes are that we now have 2 public comment periods, one at the top of the meeting for agenda
What?
items of 3 minutes.
What?
And one at the end of the
Shocking.
meeting
Oh my
for
God.
3
my
minutes
Let's
God.
for
scream like you
agenda
did.
and
When you sit at that podium, let's
non-agenda
scream like that,
items.
like a fool.
You were like, oh, that's not enough time.
You, Victoria, and all you other
Okay.
fools standing at the podium, screaming and crying
You
about
need
the
to come up
rules.
to the podium and address.
Talk about that,
be
don't worry.
recognized
Yeah, oh,
and then
yeah.
Talk
address.
lots about that.
Yeah. Lost. Oh, lost. I
council.
forgot. You forgot your milk carton. My kids helped me make this milk
Okay.
carton.
Junior
And you
council
threw it away. They were
report.
hurt.
So
I told them they were
we
hurt.
have
And they were hurt, and my kids helped do that. And
children,
very mean
please.
and cruel. Very mean and cruel
The
that you would
junior
do
council
that.
reports. Nitya, do you have a report that you would like to give?
Mean and cruel. You would do that. You should practice kindness. Lost.
It's a new year. I mean, what's your
Your
resolution?
resolution. She should practice
We have the
kindness.
junior council member to give a report. Please be respectful.
Hi.
Hi, so this week at Saucon Valley High School is finals week, so there's not really much going on in the way of like school activities. But the Addams Family musical is in like rehearsal, so dates for that will be coming out, I imagine, soon. And also on January 23rd at 6 p.m., there's going to be a junior college night where information about senior year and applications and all that kind of stuff will be given out to students and their parents. So if anyone has someone who's a junior in school, that'd probably be helpful for them to attend to. And it's at 6 on the 23rd in the high school LGI at Saucon Valley High School. But that's just about it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good luck with finals.
All right, so I'm going to open the floor to public comment for agenda items. If you want to line up at the podium and state your name and share your comments.
All right, I'm Dave Boulan. You're supposed to ask who I am. Okay? Not paying attention, I can tell.
I did say state your name.
She's lost.
Okay? Oh, I didn't hear it if you did.
She's lost.
I can't hear you. You don't talk that loud. All right? So before I start, I would like to have some clarification. Did I just understand that we have, are we running the clock?
Wait, how would you run that clock? She started interrupting, she wasn't listening to him. I just gotta start over at 3 minutes. You're wasting his time. Stop that clock.
Violating his
Violating his
constitutional rights.
constitutional
You're
rights.
violating his constitutional
No
rights
rights
right
to
now.
speak. Because she was speaking when he should have been
Exposing the
speaking.
township to litigation is what she's doing.
Yeah, well,
Gaff,
that's
what are you
the only respect you have. The question was, and I asked the solicitor this last time, and I got a bunch of double talk, are we going, I heard 2 sessions we can have at the beginning now and 1 at the end. Is that because there are 2 items? Or is that no, you get 3 minutes at the beginning to talk about anything on the agenda? Can you clarify that?
3 minutes at the beginning, which is what you're doing now on agenda items. Number 6, at the end, you can talk about agenda items or non-agenda items.
So we get 2 3-minute periods.
1 now and 1 at the end.
Thank you for clarifying that. All right, so if you could restart the clock, I'd be... Okay, I'd be appreciative, okay? Because 3 minutes isn't enough to talk about the 20 or 30 items we had on the last agenda. That's just a bunch of malarkey. I will tell you that I received email from a concerned citizen taxpayer, senior, who's scared to appear here, and this was sent to me by her, and I've modified it somewhat for clarity. Here again, for the 4th time in a new set of revised conduct rules, purportedly to listen carefully, the council to listen carefully to the concerns about the public, but in reality intends to prevent accountability of the controllers and the council, All installed, an installed prohibition of direct comment on each agenda item at the time of the agenda occurs. And instead, what we have is the public comments are sequestered. And that's what I was just talking about. And I'm not sure I'm going to get through this, sequestered at the start of the meeting so there can be no meaningful juxtaposition of this, meaning preventing open forum or true debate on major topics which can number more than 20, which I just said, separation of comment periods and appearance of agenda items, meaning comments at the beginning on agenda items that can be hours later. And there she is with the red flag. Some more just, I don't give a damn about the public. You see how the Democrats work here? They shut you down. They talk over you like Virginia. She will reinterpret everything that's been said tonight. And darn it, I'm really fed up with it. You people are just terrible. You're siding with public comment, yet you really concern only things that support your Democratic narrative. That's a terrible thing. You refused by the Democratic Council and your appointed solicitor.
Please.
I make a motion to
And-
extend
Wrap
Mr.
up your
Bland's time.
comment.
I'll second.
There's been a motion to
It's not
extend Mr.
something
Bland's
for a
time. Yes,
motion.
there is. Yes, it
It's
is.
at count-
It is
it's at
something for a
the
motion. I
president's
make a motion to extend. It's not township resources. It is something for the,
Motion
but it is a
made.
proper motion. I made a motion. It is a
Proper
proper motion.
You rule on it.
The solicitor.
I don't know what the hell you're talking about.
Arbiter of this.
I mean,
It's a
you're
perfect
asking for a hole in the
example,
ground.
folks. Anybody
Susie doesn't know his
listening
ass
in
from a hole in the
audience?
ground. I made the motion.
This is
you
the way they
seconded it.
shut you down.
Yep.
They shut you down and shut you up, and then they just say, we approve whatever they want.
Yeah, I make a motion to extend.
I will tell this person, I'm sure this person is
Okay, your
watching.
comment period is over. Thank you.
Yeah, no, it's not over yet.
Barton wouldn't do anything when we had the majority. He's not going to do anything now.
Here we
Keep
are.
talking.
So the Democratic Council is going to push forward their own goals
These guys
and
know.
shut down the public. Here you are. Everybody listen up. And it hasn't changed. As soon as they got in, it was going to be 5 minutes on every topic, and now it's no minutes. They shut you down, run your clock,
Okay, your
and so
time
you
is
can't say anything.
down.
And that includes Laura Ray, who is the new dictator.
please sit
Lost
down.
Ray.
Your time is over. Do we have more?
Oh, I think your time is over.
When we were in the majority and tried to enforce the 3-minute rule, Chief Barnes said it couldn't be done, and he wouldn't do it. And so these officers aren't gonna do it either. Speak as long as you want.
Mr. Belen, I apologize that you don't have the time, and to the public that they don't have the time.
You don't need to apologize.
Apologize for these people.
What I need to do is get an attorney and come in here
Yes.
and shut them down.
Yep,
And
yep.
get rulings.
Absolutely.
Because what I see of other things I've
Okay, do
looked
we
at
have others who
are
want to do
really
public comment?
You can
Right.
say what you
Because
want.
you're taking away others' time.
You're not.
Oh, look
No,
at
you're
that.
not. You took away others' time. They used to be able to comment after every agenda item. You took away other people's time.
Okay,
You
I
didn't
don't
take away
see
other people's
anybody
time.
else
What about my
coming up for
motion? I
public
made a motion.
comment. So we're
I made
gonna
a motion.
start with agenda item 4D, developer.
No, there's something for public comment. You
Okay,
lost?
well, she needed to come
lost?
up.
You can't
Are you
speak
lost?
up.
Are you lost like the milk can says?
You can't speak up.
Like the milk
Please
carton says? Are you
be
lost?
Quiet,
Are you lost
so
like the milk
our
carton
com-
says?
our
Are you
public
lost
is
like
up
the milk
here to
carton says?
comment.
Return to Lower Saucon Township. She's
State your
lost.
name and start your comment, please.
Anne Marie Slavic, Lower Saucon Township. I'm concerned about one of the items on the agenda, that is the township-owned properties fees to be reimbursed to the groups that are on the list. Heller Homestead is one of them. So my question is, there is a private industry company that is on this list, the company that does the taxes, the tax collection. So my concern, again, as I say up here all the time, is the fact that the township wants to reimburse fees now for local nonprofits for their electricity, for their utilities. So, and also for the senior, the Saucon Valley Senior Committee, the group. So what I am concerned about is the incrementalism that's going on in this council, where we're continuing to reimburse people, we're continuing to do contracts with groups in the community, we're continuing to shell out money for this and for that. So my question is, what is next? The public really has to understand what's going on here, because when we have contracts that extend over a 3-year period and we can't have any kind of planning for that in a situation, a government situation where we don't know what kind of taxes we're going to be collecting in 10 years, but we owe money to the library and we owe money to the other organizations, and now we're paying for this. So here's the thing. When you have a nonprofit, you have people in a nonprofit that do fundraising, and that is they go out and they ask the public and they ask people for donations towards the organizations. And that's a normal scenario. Every charitable organization have people that they employ to do these jobs, to fundraise. So why are these organizations not doing fundraising? Why are they relying all on the government? It's going to be the case when eventually the money's going to dry up. So the group that, the 3 Democrats that are on this council that continually want to shell money out to organizations around the area are the same ones that want to stop companies from coming into our area and paying taxes, or at least one of them. So if you shut down our biggest revenue generator, but you continue to give money to your friends, that's a problem. In the future, it's just going to continue. It's going to get worse, and taxpayers need to understand this, and they need to know, and they need to be concerned.
Do we have anybody else for public comment? Agenda items? Okay, seeing none. We will be on developer item 4A, the Yoder lot line adjustment. Lot line 0125-2486 at 2486 and 2490 Pond Lane. So we're considering this application for a lot line adjustment for properties that I just identified on Pond Lane. Looks like we have somebody here maybe to talk about this?
Somebody at the podium. There's somebody here lost.
Human being standing there, and I will acknowledge.
Podium lost. There's somebody here.
Evening. Ryan Denneth from State Line Engineering, representing Diane and Stephen Yoder. They are the owners of 2486 Pond Lane. Their in-laws live at 2490 Pond Lane. Pond Lane is a private drive that accesses off of Lower Saucon Road. Basically, what the idea of this lot line adjustment is to do is to move an existing driveway that kind of goes back and forth over the existing property line. Once the lot lines is adjusted, the drive will be moved to be completely on one lot and the other. We are actually asking for 2 waivers. One is the requirement to show existing features within 500 feet of the tract boundaries. And another is to show contours and slope delineation across the entire site and within 200 feet of its boundaries. Again, given the small scale of what's actually trying to be accomplished here, that is the reason we're asking for these waivers. We've gone over the review letters, and we will comply with the Hanover Township January 9th, 2025 review letter. And the applicant has already signed the basically conditional approval, and I believe it's been provided to necessary here.
Engineering, not Hanover Township.
Okay.
Yes, my apologies.
Brian, do you have input or anything to?
Sure, so the
Relay on this?
waivers they're requesting are pretty standard for a subdivision of this type. I've gone over all of the items in my letter with Ryan, and he understands what he needs to do. So I represent my letter as saying minor plan changes and just a checklist of items that they need to do before they record the plan. So unless council has any questions, all of that is reflected in the draft motion, including the waivers, and the draft motion is okay for approval if council so desires.
Have you spoken to any property owners, nearby property owners?
We've sent out the letter in the past and
No.
haven't heard anything. I guess nobody's here to object.
Okay. Well,
Okay.
they wouldn't have 3 minutes to object anyway. They would have had to use that before that you
I'm
spoke.
going to go through our
these
board to
dictators.
see if we have questions. Usually we go in alphabetical order, so
Got lost running the show.
if you have questions on this.
If I understood what your comments were, that the driveway itself will be located on one of the 2 properties, correct, when this is done?
The driveway right now, it meanders back and forth across the property line, and one will be moved basically so that they'll split pretty much right at the very beginning of where the 2 properties come together, and then it won't be meandering anymore. One will be dedicated to one address, one will be dedicated to the other address.
That was a question I had, because my understanding was that there's a common driveway, so there's now going to be 2 separate driveways?
There'll be 2 separate driveways serving each dwelling, but they'll both come back to the same union point that's already there now.
So is that union point on one parcel or the other, or is it bisected by the proposed new property line?
It is on one property right now, and it will continue to be.
So the question...
Properties are landlocked, and their access off of a access easement that gets them to Lower Saucon.
Right, my question, you got to my question, which is the easement issue. So, you know, these properties at some point, the family members may not live in it, one may want to sell, the marketability of it. There is an easement in place that will allow for both properties to use that common parcel if this is, that common portion of the driveway if this is approved.
Yes, at that union point, there is an easement, and, you know, as you stated, that is the reasoning that this is all going through. The mother-in-law is not in the greatest of health, and, you know, they're trying to get the family affairs situated while they still can.
Yeah, I understand, thank you. And I you know, good luck to the family with those issues.
Yes, thank you.
Those are all my questions, thank you, Laura.
All right, Tom?
No, you answered my question. The other property owners have been notified, and you have heard back from them. All right, no, good luck. Good luck with you.
Thank you.
All right, and Priscilla, do you have?
I do not have any questions, thank you. We had the information in our packet.
Okay, thank you.
Victoria?
Yeah, I just want to confirm that what you're doing, you're going to do it in conformity with what Mr. Cucker has identified. You're in agreement to follow all of his recommendations.
You said that.
Yes.
Okay, thanks. That's it. Thank
You
you.
just had to hear yourself talk. You said that. You just had to hear yourself talk. You said that 5 times. No public comment?
We're not taking public comment.
Loud talk.
Public comment? Not allowed?
Okay, I recommend that we grant The lot line adjustments, as outlined in the Hanover Engineering letter dated January 9th, 2025.
January 5th.
It
Wrong
would
date?
be in accordance with the draft motion.
Okay, in accordance with the draft motion from Hanover Engineering.
Meeting, lost or Brian?
I'll second that.
Thankfully, Brian's here to keep her on track.
Correct, lost.
Yeah, thank you, Brian.
Lost
for
from being
that guidance.
lost.
We have a motion and a second.
Lost again.
We have a motion and a second, so.
Okay, so we need roll call?
Ms. DeLeon,
Yes.
Mr. Benonis,
Yes.
Ms. Altough Cordero,
Yes.
Mr. Carochi. Yes. Ms. Ray.
Yes,
Motion passes 5-0.
thank you.
So we need it with lost at the helm. Still, just couldn't get
Okay,
it.
next item
Just couldn't hack it.
is 5A,
Still, just couldn't hack it.
approval of a tree removal at the Heller Homestead. Township staff is requesting council's approval to remove a tree on the Heller Homestead property. The quote of $2,875 was provided by Snowscapes. So we had the pictures in our packet showing the tree in question. Did you have anything you wanted to add, Kathy?
No,
Roger,
Ms.
took care of it.
DeLeon, as the liaison, had indicated to me that the Conservancy was requesting this for council to consider. I provided a memorandum in the packet regarding Mr. Rossich's observations of the tree.
Well, I like how.
And we're looking for guidance from council as to whether or not we wish to have this tree removed.
All right, well, I would make the motion that we have the tree removed at the quoted price of $2,875 by Snowscapes. Do I have a second?
I'll second that.
All right, Jason, do you have comments on this?
About cutting the trees down? No.
Tom?
Yes. I mean, I thought Lost and her friends were environmentalists, and I thought they didn't like to cut trees down. Well, my God, the landfill cuts a tree down, everybody goes in an uproar. A private citizen might cut a tree down, everybody gets in a...
Rocky Vecino and cell tower.
That's right, Rocky Vecino cut some trees down for the cell phone tower, which these people said would never happen, and is happening, of course. And so, I mean, now their friends here at the Heller Homestead want to cut a tree down. And, you know, to get rid of that tree. Don't use plastic bags. Don't you cut down a tree. But if we want to cut down a tree, we'll cut down a tree. Did this go before the EAC? No, it didn't, see? They make everybody else go through the EAC, but the EAC was quiet on it. We have the vice chair out there who's just probably clueless, probably first she's hearing of it. But, you know, cutting down trees is serious stuff. You know, I find it very hypocritical of the majority and the EAC. You know,
All right,
you can cut down
Victoria?
trees. I'm not done yet. You can cut down, don't cut me off. Don't be so rude. Like I told you, practice kindness. Practice kindness. It should be your New Year's resolution. Now, if they want a tree cut down, they cut the tree down. And I guess that's what we're going to do here. But I'm for trees. I like trees. Are we going to get revenue? What's going to happen to this tree? Is it valuable wood? Do we just giving it to the company who's chopping it down? I guess we are. Who knows? I guarantee you no one looked into that.
The tree
One,
is
because we
not
don't
of
have a
good
township manager.
quality.
What's that?
The tree is not of good quality. It looks like.
And who made that judgment?
Looks like a catalpa tree
Who
to
made that
me.
judgment? Who made that judgment? You?
It's stated here in the memo that
By
we were
who?
provided.
It says the Saucon Valley Conservancy Board.
Mr. Rossich.
Okay, Mr. Rogers. Okay, well, at least it's not lost. I trust Rogers' opinion much more than hers. But we don't know. We didn't. No, we don't know about what's going to happen with the wood. I mean, is it going to be composted? What's going to happen? I mean, these environmentalists are supposed to care about these things.
I would imagine we would dispose
don't
of it.
know.
We don't know, but I can come back and let you know.
Thank you. I would appreciate it.
I'm sorry, Tom. Yes. So you said Roger said that this tree should come down, but according to your memo, it says that the request was made by the Saucon Valley Conservancy Board to look at and approve the removal of a tree. And then you have an email there where you wrote to Roger, this is on January 8th, asking for a quote for the removal of the tree. But I don't see anything from Roger saying that this tree should come down. Was that a conversation you
It was a
had?
conversation I had with him, and I detailed that in the memorandum.
Okay, all right, thank you. I'm sorry, Tom, I just wanted some clarification on that point, thank you.
I just hope other companies in the township or property owners in the township that come before this council to have trees removed, the hearing or the discussion goes so smoothly from these so-called environmentalists like Lost Ray, and you know, and they get the same treatment. That's all lost. You doing that? All right, I'll do that too. Oh, there she is. Don't choke me.
Who are the co-vice presidents? Can you take over? Tom, you're one, are you co-vice president?
Also, I thought it was.
Victoria, would
You know, we know Priscilla's not up to the job anymore.
I just want to confirm, I think, did you make the motion, or we're still going through council?
We're still going through council. I think I'm next.
There was a motion.
I think, so Tom just went, so,
There was a motion.
do you have anything more to add?
A motion
Priscilla,
was second.
Go ahead.
Is it my turn?
We're choking under her first full council meeting.
Okay, so I would like to say that as the Conservancy, as a liaison to the Conservancy who leases this site, it's their, it's a requirement that they notify the township if there's something that doesn't look right or, you know, and needs repair or something. So this tree is hollow inside and it's tangled. If you look at the picture, it's tangled in the wires. And they brought it to the township's attention because they're afraid that it's gonna fall, and if it falls, it'll fall towards the road and fall on a car, which is a danger to the passengers in the car, or a pedestrian or a bicyclist. And it would also take down the lines, which would cause a power outage and could be a danger with sparks. So they requested the township look into it. Roger got in touch with a tree specialist or whatever, and it was his recommendation, I guess, if I'm reading it right, to take it down. So I'm in favor of doing this for safety.
Thanks, Priscilla. I guess I'll go last. I don't have any other further comment. I think it's appropriate. So at this time, I guess we have a roll call.
Mr.
Didn't
Benonis?
even make it through her first full meeting.
Mr. Benonis?
This is to cut down the tree? Yes.
Ms. Optoff Cordero?
Yes.
Mr. Carucci?
Only if the landfill gets to cut down theirs, so no.
Ms. Ray?
Yes.
Ms. DeLeon?
Yes.
Motion passes 4-1.
Thank you, Kathy. The next item on the agenda is item
She didn't make it through her
5B,
first meeting.
which is Environmental Advisory
First full
Council
meeting. Who else
Associate
could make it
Members.
through her first full meeting?
30 minutes.
Council is going to consider the appointments of 2 associate members,
made it a year.
vacancies recommended by the EAC. Just as a point of clarification, the EAC bylaws dictate that when there are vacancies for the EAC, that the EAC provide recommendations to council prior to council making the appointments. In the packet, you all have the 2025 EAC reorganization meeting memo, which includes the EAC's recommendations for the 2 associate members. So I will make the motion to adopt the recommendations that were passed by the EAC as pursuant to the memo dated January 15th, 2025.
I'll second that.
Okay, Laura.
Okay, so Mr. Benonis, you have any comments on this?
Yeah, this is you three fools propping up your cronies to give them credentials for a likely township council run. These people don't show up at these council meetings. They don't know what the hell's going on. And this is just an opportunity for you to rebrand these people in your likeness to make them look better in the community when in fact they're just as bad as you are. If, you know, it's completely opaque what you're, it's actually completely obvious what you're doing here. It's too bad that you don't own up to it. I mean, Kathy Pitchell-McGovern, you've heard her at these council meetings, the stupid things that she says at that podium. I mean, it's unbelievable, but that's who you put on the EAC. These are the people that you want banning plastic bags. So put more of your crony, like-minded fools on the EAC. There's no room for divergent thought. You ran out of town the folks that were on EAC that had competency. You ran out of town Sandy. You ran out of town Haas, Tom Carochi, and Spurk. Anybody that doesn't meld with your distorted view of the world and how environmental should control everything that this township does. And you're gonna put more people like that into this clown car of fools. That's what you do. That's what you do. Have at it. That's all I have.
Mr. Carochi?
Well, the head of the clown car is one of the proposed appointers, Kurt Balch. He's a puppet and a cartoon character. He's a puppet for them and a cartoon character. He lives by the landfill, so it's just another anti-landfill type of vote on the board. He should recuse himself from all landfill things, but he won't because he doesn't have any integrity or character. And then I know a little bit about him just because I know him, but Michael Patero, they didn't put any type of resume. I don't see a resume of what these people's qualifications are for the EAC, or even why they're interested in being on the EAC. Were you told not to put that in the packet?
No, as I had previously put it in the packet during the applications in the executive content for your packet for review at reorg.
Yeah, but we're deciding on this tonight. Why weren't they back in? Were you instructed not to?
No, I
Then
just,
why didn't you do it?
I apologize. I should have.
You always apologize.
Maybe she assumed you
We
reviewed
don't have a township manager because these clowns can't hire one. And stuff like this, we have no idea. I have no idea who this Michael Patero is, or why he wants to be on EAC, and we're being asked to vote for him. I mean, that should be in our packet. Does he live next to the landfill too? Is he another corrupted vote on the landfill? Well, I guess we don't know. And you're asking us to vote. But this is a problem. This is why we need to either hire a township manager.
We're getting off topic. If you have any other comments to add on this specific item.
It's a specific on topic. The council packet is missing vital documentation to vote on this. And that's simply because we don't have enough township employees doing the work that needs to be done in preparation for a township council meeting. And so, this is a perfect example of it. And fools like Priscilla want to say, well, we offered to hire somebody, but if she'd ever worked in the workforce for the past 40 years,
topic again, so if you can't, stay on topic, I'm gonna have to move on.
You can't bring a temp person in and instruct them to do stuff.
If you're gonna stay off topic, I'm gonna move on.
Put a council packet together.
Last warning, if you can't stay on topic, I'll move on to the next person.
Put a council agenda together. So you can't
Ms.
hire
DeLeon,
enough people to put a council agenda together. A council agenda together with the resumes
Comments are unlike
with the resumes
my two predecessors
of Mr. Patero or Mr. Balch. All you need to do is have the resume in the packet so that we can vote to see whether they have a conflict of interest with the landfill, whether they have a conflict of interest with any other property that has business before the EAC. Or what their educational background is. If any of these people have any environmental experience at all for anything, they don't.
Not a problem to me, because I remember them.
You don't know, because we don't have the application, because we don't have enough township employees.
Is there anything additional I heard you say that, we had received all of their resumes a while ago?
We didn't.
And,
I didn't receive any
for those who didn't review their reorg agenda.
I didn't receive any of those orders. I didn't get a reorg agenda.
Is there anything else?
Give me that.
Oh, I support the recommendation
again,
of the EAC.
Of course you do, of course you do.
Thank
because
you.
have-
I also
they're your hand
support
chosen.
the EAC's
Hand-chosen.
opinion
But
on
they didn't
this.
know, you know.
Just to, I don't think I
Who
said it
are
in the
they? Who are
motion,
they?
but we
Who are
have
they? Do
Kurt
you know?
Balch as associate
Who is Michael
member.
Patera? Where does
And
he
also
live?
Michael Patero as an
Who is Kurt
associate
Balch?
member.
Where does he live?
For any
Right
council
next to the
members who are
landfill.
unsure, they can review their
setting it
council
up, landfill,
reorganization
setting it
meeting
up, landfill.
agenda and packet information that was sent to
Setting it up,
council
setting it up.
on the Friday
still on the
before our
floor?
January
What?
6th reorganization
That's
meeting.
on the floor. Maybe
So all of those
she's talking.
things
Nobody cares.
are, have been
Everybody
provided
out
to
there's listening
council.
to me, not me.
At this point in time, I'm going to
So,
do a roll
you
call.
know, yeah, you know, so again, next time, Kathy, do you think when
Roll call,
somebody's
Kathy,
appointed
please.
to a committee, that we could have the application or whatever they filled out with the township in the packet, in the meeting that we're actually gonna vote for them? I think that's like common sense, and we can get that done.
Please do the roll call, and I'd appreciate if you treat our staff with respect.
How you treat me with respect? I have
Yes.
the floor. So I'm not gonna treat
Caroci?
anybody with respect until you yield the floor.
Mr. Caroci?
No.
Ms. Reg?
Yes.
Ms. Deleon?
Yes.
Mr. Benonis?
So Victoria was talking over Tom, I couldn't hear it. What was the motion?
Yeah, repeat the motion.
Go
She
ahead.
can't even remember.
Go ahead,
She
Stacey.
can't even remember.
You don't remember? It was just a motion to adopt the recommendations of the EAC. I ask that you please pay attention.
I am paying attention, but you're too busy opening your ignorant mouth.
Are you voting?
Your mouth and talking over Tom while he's speaking, so that's why I'm asking.
Are you voting?
What am I voting on? Because I didn't hear you because
Are you
were opening your
voting?
Ignorant mouth.
We don't know who we're
and
voting.
talking over
We don't know
Tom.
who we're
So what
voting
is it?
on.
All right,
we
he's
don't know
not
who we're voting
responsive.
I'm responsive. What's
He's
the damn
talking. How's he
motion?
not responsive?
Answer the
He's
question. What's
talking.
the motion? You're down there mumbling with
How is he not
with
responsive?
food in your mouth or something.
the
Talking
next
over Tom. I don't
in the
know
roll
what
call,
you're doing.
please?
Blown out of her mouth.
What is the motion?
Who's the next in the roll call, please?
What's the motion? So you're gonna skip over my vote and not tell me what your motion is, because I can't hear you, because you are too busy
Know what the
being rude,
motion is.
talking
I've
over another
restated it a
council
second
person.
time.
You won't have the courtesy
I've
to tell me
restated it
what
a
the
second
motion
time.
is?
This is the
Okay.
last time I will restate
I
the
will tell you
motion.
the motion. We are making the appointments to the two vacant positions
Who's
on
running the meeting now? Are you
EAC
running it or she?
as recommended from the EAC board.
Is it president by committee? Who's running the meeting? Is it Victoria or is it Laura?
He's not responsive, so can we move on to the next person?
He's talking. How is he not responsive?
Yeah, be quiet for 2 seconds. They might be able to answer.
Thank you for acknowledging that.
She walked out.
Thank you. So now you're running the meeting,
I can
and tell me
run.
what is the motion?
You're good, Laura?
The
Yeah, she's
motion
good.
is to appoint the
made a
two
whole
associate members to the vacancies on EAC as was recommended by EAC at their meeting last night. And
Can you name them? They're,
Kurt Balch and Michael Pataro, it's in our packet.
I thought it was Kathy Pitchell-McGovern. I apologize.
No, it is not. Kathy's
The name here.
already.
Making the nomination.
See, I don't have any materials here. I have a reorganization thing. That's all I have here. Reorganization chart. This is what I have. Like, call the names. Say what their names are.
This is the last.
The answer is no, I'm not voting for these people, because I have no information on them. I have a chart here.
If you trespass,
All I have is the reorganization chart.
it certainly is.
Talking, Virginia.
Your property's all the way over
In
there.
the
Complete
audience.
idiots. Who are you?
Priscilla, who the hell are you?
You stepped out, so be
Priscilla?
quiet. You're not running the meeting
I'm
anymore.
allowed-
Pipe down. You're not running it.
allowed
You
to
quiet.
talk
No,
for
you're
a
not.
point
She's
of
running the
order.
meeting.
I'm allowed.
I thought you had fatigue. I thought you had fatigue, and you parked in the handicap
I'm not
spot
gonna
again.
pipe down to
Pipe
you,
down.
Next
especially.
Handicap
agenda
spot
item,
You're so
5C,
useless.
consider waiving annual expenses for the entities that utilize Sidersville Hall.
I'm gainfully employed for 40 years, right?
Yeah.
And she knows how to run the office. Tell Kathy, just hire somebody. They'll be able to do it.
So useless.
Okay, council will review and consider waiving
So useless.
expenses for these entities that are utilizing Sidersville Hall.
She's so useless.
That would be the Saucon Valley Community Center for their senior program, the Lower Saucon Township Historical Society, and the Saucon Creek Watershed Group actually uses it. And then Kathy had prepared a spreadsheet showing a breakdown of all who use that space over in Sidersville, as well as how much, approximate their expenses are. I will clarify, so it was brought up about the Keystone Collections, correct? That is a private entity that is in there. We're not looking to waive their fees. we do have an arrangement with them, so we're not waiving fees for Keystone Collection. So I would make a motion that we consider continuing waiving the expenses for the nonprofits that utilize Sidersville Hall. Do I have a second?
I'll second that, but I have a question.
Sure. Well, we'll go through.
Cider, it's my understanding that Keystone pays nothing. Is that correct, Kathy?
Keystone pays for their utility expenses. We bill them on a quarterly basis.
Utilities being the heat,
Based on the percentage of the building that they use.
okay, just clarification, thank you.
The Historical Society does not, the
I understand.
community center, we haven't.
Okay, thank you for that. Okay, so that was my second.
Okay. All right, I'm gonna amend my motion as well, since we didn't, did you second it?
I did.
Okay, I'm going to amend my motion, though, to include the Heller Homestead expenses, which are or the Saucon Valley Conservancy expenses, which are at the Heller Homestead, and the Historical Society's expenses that are at the Lutz Franklin Schoolhouse.
Are you
So
aware that
those
the
are in this
agenda item
separate
says
chart.
entities utilizing Sidersville Hall? Now you're talking about entities that are not utilizing Sidersville Hall. So now, like, let's just
amend the
throw in-
agenda.
So you have to amend the agenda.
Our solicitor wasn't
table it.
asleep and had any competence.
He actually just suggested it to her. I'm sitting here listening to him.
He's an
But that's not
effing
the
idiot.
agenda item. So now you're talking about a Sunshine Act violation because you're gonna approve something that is not on the agenda. What are you doing?
We table it till next meeting, but they won't because they're clueless. Lost running the meeting. Made it the first half hour.
If you want-
The agenda,
No, the agenda item,
the agenda item, no.
the agenda item says,
The
Consider
subject,
waiving-
the subject matter on the agenda item was municipal properties, but Mr. Benonis is correct.
no, it says consider waiving annual expense for entities utilizing Sidersville Hall.
So if you want to be particularly, if you want to go and.
If you want to be legal, if you want to be legal.
Steve,
If you want to,
If you want,
right,
to err on
if
the
Susie
side-
wants to have a clue.
In the agenda item.
Steve, talk in the mic,
it
please.
says municipal properties.
Although it says municipal properties, in an overabundance of caution, if you wanted to make sure that there's absolutely no issue, you could address the ones for Siderville Hall this time and put the other ones on the agenda for our subsequent.
There we go. How hard was that?
Hey, Susie got one right. A year and a half or a year and a month. He got one right. Susie got one right.
Paid off.
Susie,
You may want to consider amending your motion.
Susie, you got one right.
But I'll withdraw the motion and I'll just start over with a fresh motion that I started
Please
with.
do.
I'll withdraw my second.
Okay, so I make a motion that we waive the expenses for the nonprofits that are utilizing the Sidersville Hall specifically.
I'll second that. Do we have a dollar amount, Kathy?
At least for last
Does it
year's
matter?
numbers.
It does matter.
It's estimated that the,
Watch how much it's gonna
I'd
matter.
like the record to
Estimated that this-
reflect the dollar
It's gonna
amount,
matter.
which is my prerogative.
Yeah, you have lots of prerogatives.
I do.
That's your biggest syllable word you've ever
You'll
used.
learn them all someday.
it's estimated that the water.
You'll be too fatigued to explain them to us.
Or at least my body's still going, more than your brain.
Okay,
Eyes go more than your brain.
Estimated that the community center senior
Go ahead.
program utilizes
Her body's still going.
$3,432.60. The historical society is.
I don't need the handicap space right next to the door.
$19, and the Saucon Valley Watershed.
Right here on the screen, Priscilla.
Organization is Saucon Creek Watershed.
There it is, right there.
$322.06.
$6,337.84. You see it right here, Priscilla?
Totaling $6,337.84.
Listening to
I'm
you.
pointing at you. You had the question.
Kathy.
I'm telling you.
And I can't hear Kathy because
right here.
your big mouth is talking.
It's right here. It's right
Kathy,
here.
I'm so sorry, I just want a total.
Here,
I'm
6337.84.
not looking at you, I'm listening to Kathy.
$6,337.84
right there.
estimated.
That was just double checking, thank you.
It's in yellow up there, right above the yellow? Yeah.
all right, Jason, do you have comments on this?
No, I don't.
Tom?
Now Keystone pays utilities, not rent, but that's per the agreement, right? When they located there, right?
Correct.
And that agreement was signed, what, 2 years ago?
Correct.
And they have what, it was a 5-year agreement, or how long was it?
There is a provision in that agreement that if we do not, it has to be brought up by a certain amount of months prior to, but I think it's a two-year agreement. And then
When does it expire then? I mean, it should have expired this year then.
well, we would have had to give them notice, so I'll double check.
It renews, if we don't give them
renews
notice
if
that
we
we
don't
want
give
them to
them
leave.
Correct.
And they don't give us notice that they want to leave,
Correct.
then it automatically renews.
Correct.
All right. Well, I think our residents find that convenient, that it's there. I mean, they don't have to locate a collections in the township, they're not required to.
There is a
far as
provision with the school district that they should have a presence in the Saucon Valley area.
School district. Saucon Valley area.
And they do represent, this is their main headquarters for Northampton County as well.
Right.
They have to have a presence in Northampton County.
Right, so you can go in there and pay your Northampton County taxes, your school taxes, or your township taxes.
Your school, EIT questions, that sort of thing, and, and local taxes.
That's a trade-off, but overall, I think it's fortunate that we have them close by to, especially for a lot of our elderly residents that might have questions. They don't have to drive too far, they don't have to get too far to the office. And for that, they don't pay rent, they pay utilities. Everything's a trade-off, everything's a negotiation. I don't have a problem with that. I think it's good to have it close by, especially for our elderly residents. And our ones who are fatigued, like Priscilla, need to park in a handicap space. That's it.
Some people just like themselves.
Priscilla, do you have comments?
Yeah, they just like to hear themselves talk. No, I don't have any
Yeah, Victoria, she's
other
going out
questions.
Victoria.
And that amount is good because it'll be reflected in the record. A piece of paper can't be.
Sure it can. It can be adopted by reference. We do it all the time.
Did you have any additional comments on this? I'm done. Okay, Victoria?
Thank you. I'm in favor of waiving the fees for our nonprofits. I do think we need to look at the policy as it relates to for-profit entities. Of course, I wasn't here when the agreement was signed, which allowed Keystone Collections to utilize the space rent-free. I understand they're paying for utilities, but they're not paying for their usage of the space. So we can take a look at that in the future, but I'm in favor of this.
Okay, and I'll make comment then on the Keystone Collection, because I did ask about it too, but they're not necessarily rent-free per se. In our agreement, we get a better rate for our tax collection services, so it's kind of a trade-off that was made a couple years ago, I think Kathy said, so.
Yeah, we did that.
Yeah, it seemed like a, reasonable thing to have in place, so we're not changing that.
I'm glad no, Victoria just said she wants to look at it, so our elderly residents have to drive further.
Well, when it comes up the next time
Drive further
around.
to pay their taxes or get their taxes.
Recall, didn't Priscilla have a family member that worked for the
Yes.
former tax collecting company, right?
That's right. Priscilla's sister worked for the
Okay.
previous
Well, I
tax
think we're
collecting
done with
company,
the comments
which we were giving
on
our
this
business to for the
particular
35
item.
years that she was on
Can we have a
council.
roll call?
And she was giving the business to her sister.
Mr.
Company.
Croce?
Yes.
Ms. Ray?
Yes.
Ms. DeLeon?
Yes.
Mr. Benonis?
Yes.
Ms. Cordero?
Yes.
Motion passes 5-0.
All right.
Priscilla was giving the business to her sister's employer for 30 years or whatever. We ended that.
Next item is 6A, the approval of the December 2024 financial reports. I'll make a motion that we approve the financial report as was presented.
Second.
Do we have comments on the financials? Jason?
I have no comments at this time.
Tom?
Oh, I saw one thing. Hold on.
Should I come back?
Go ahead, yeah, come back. Maybe I'll
Victoria,
find it.
do you have any?
I don't have any comments.
Okay, I didn't have anything in particular on the December report.
Who was this, charge to Caitlin Sommer? Do you recall? What was this? Deposit.
That is our escrow agreement for our sewer escrow. So her septic permit was approved, so the balance was returned to her.
Okay. All right, that's it.
All right, can we have a roll call on this?
Ms. Ray?
Yes.
Ms. DeLeon?
Yes?
Mr. Benonis?
Abstain.
Ms. Cordero? Mr. Croce?
Abstain.
I think you have to give a reason why you abstain.
I don't have to tell you anything.
You're not telling me, you're telling the
telling you.
Ethics Commission
telling
and the minutes.
Yeah, I'm telling you, I'm
shut the
not
hell
telling
up.
you.
Motion passes.
You're out of order.
0,
You're out of
2
order.
abstentions.
You tell me what to do, and I'm telling you to go to hell.
All right.
She thought if she gave up the
Council
gavel,
and
you go
staff
easy on her.
reports.
Very big place.
Yeah, you're taking a lot of space there. I don't know if there's a lot of room.
Kathy, do you have a
Brian.
report?
Get out of the line of fire. She couldn't hack it.
Text me when you get there.
We have the yard waste facility open for Christmas tree collections until everything is transferred over for our residents. So the last day for drop-off is this Saturday. Regarding the access to the Saucon Valley Compost Center, anyone who is holding an older orange card can still utilize that card. We're doing our best to not inconvenience our residents. So anyone who is needing a new card for 2025, they can come to the office. Our landfill committee meeting is tomorrow at 2 at the Township Building. This week is the last week for Restaurant Week. There's a grand opening for Preston Lane Pedestrian Bridge on Saturday, the 18th at 1 o'clock. We have posted it on our website, Facebook, and Constant Contact. Pavilion rentals are open. Please refer to our Park and Rec website page or contact our office if you're interested in renting a pavilion for the year. And we did receive a notice from Lehigh Valley Planning Commission regarding a PADP, Shared Energy Management Program. I'll be providing that to council at a future meeting, so you can consider whether or not you want to take a look at that program.
Can I ask you a question? Sure. With regard to the financial report, it looks like we paid Hellertown a compost fee in December, but the settlement agreement doesn't go into effect until January. So why would we pay them before the agreement was in effect?
The agreement was it was the payment that was on the register was not for the agreement, but it was for the litigation settlement. The $12,500 for the grinding bill that Hellertown paid, which was to come out of that fund if all parties approved it. At the time it was coming to the board's attentions. And the 50% balance of the contributions made to those funds. So it's not part of the actual payments that may be considered due. However, I think part of the agreement, we shouldn't be paying anything for the 2025 year based on the agreement that was signed by both parties.
So the payment that's reflected as being paid in December was payment for the grinding fee that was part of this settlement agreement that we have here.
The settlement agreement and the half of the balance after that.
Right, half of the account that we were holding.
Correct.
Got it. Okay, thank you.
The compost center, when is for Christmas trees? This coming weekend and next weekend, or
It's the final week is this weekend.
final week is this weekend for Christmas trees?
Yes.
Okay.
And we kept it, I think Hellertown was providing access as well. And we were providing access just until the transition was completely made and everybody was aware.
All right, so we'll continue with council reports then, unless you have more, Kathy?
Well, that's it, thank you.
Okay, Jason, do you have a council report?
I do. Thank you. Well, I would like to acknowledge that Priscilla is closer to the door on her way out of here, so that's a positive thing. I would also like to acknowledge that Laura is the president of council. Only in Lower Saucon Township can you go from posting and sending ignorant emails at 1, 2, and 3 o'clock in the morning on Christmas Eve and doxing people's homes to become the president of Township Council in a short period of time, while also being lost and clueless. So I think that's something to be proud of for the township. I would like Tom and me to be named as co-vice presidents. We already have co-vice presidents. I'm not sure in the history of the township. Priscilla, you've been here for a very long time. Have we ever had co-vice presidents before January of 2025? I can't recall it in my history, but if everybody's getting a participation trophy, I want one. I think Tom certainly deserves a participation trophy.
Good behavior.
So I guess that would be quad vice president. So I'll make a motion to have quad vice presidents of Lower Saucon Township Council. Can I get a second?
Second. I'll second.
Out of order.
All right.
Point of order.
Anna,
It's not even a real
It
motion.
is a motion. I just
Real
made it and Tom
motion.
seconded it. It was a real motion. You made a motion to make yourselves co-vice presidents, right?
Priscilla's piping up. She's
There was a
upset
motion.
she gave that gavel up. Now she's upset she gave that gavel
Vice
up.
president? You make yourself, at the last council meeting, at the reorg meeting, didn't you name yourself the co-vice
You weren't
president?
even here, or were
Answer my
you
question.
stalking us on the
bunch.
internet?
I don't need to stalk you. Don't flatter yourself, Priscilla, please.
I don't know what you're talking about.
All right, well, I guess maybe there aren't. But anyway, I would like Tom to be a co-vice president with me, along with whoever else are vice president.
I accept.
Thank you. Well deserved, Tom.
Thank you.
Motion and second. Can we have a conversation about it?
Yes.
All right, I'll wait.
Well, yeah, discussion. Motion.
I guess there's no discussion. Kathy, would you call the roll?
Is this even appropriate, because it's not an agenda item on the?
You're not the president. Well, that's for law.
So we do have a council president and vice president. We were appointed during reorganization
I thought they were
last week,
co-presidents.
which you did not attend.
I thought they were co-presidents. Or something.
All right.
Documented that they're
Our
losing
motion.
it.
We still made a motion.
Motion. Can we get a
It doesn't
roll?
have anything to affect our
A
motion.
motion, I'm asking for a
Yes.
point of order.
They can make the motion, it exists, we're
And
at
it's
the roll
seconded.
call level. It's second, and we're at the roll call level, so we can vote on it and go from there.
Mr. Benonis?
Well, I'm certainly modest, and I don't do this lightly, but I guess I have to vote yes, because I really want Tom to be a co-vice president.
Yes.
Ms. Zoptoff Cordero?
No.
Mr. Caroci?
Yes.
Ms. Ray?
No.
Ms. DeLeon?
No.
No, they'll
Emphatic.
have to be co-vice presidents in exile.
Well, Tom, at least you got that good behavior award.
I know. I got this good behavior award.
All right, so let's talk about.
Lost as a milk carton.
Let's talk about this Hellertown settlement agreement we have here. This is the agreement that was executed and sent to us by Steve on December 10th, 2024. Fully executed. Here's Priscilla's signature on it, December 6th, 2024, prompt signature on it.
What you got for tea?
I guess the question I have is who drafted it and who provided the terms and who negotiated it? So, and I'll direct your attention specifically to item number 4, which says the following: the appropriate representative from Lower Saucon Township shall provide a letter setting forth the determination of the officer that the compost center is a permitted use on the property. So, there's nothing that gives this council the authority to do that. And there's nothing that gives this council the authority to do it under the circumstances here. The property is zoned RA. And when you look at our ordinances, section 180-19, permitted uses and conditional uses, running a compost center is not listed as a permitted use in the zoned RA property that is the compost center. What is permitted? Animal husbandry, there are no animals here. Greenhouses, they're not growing anything there other than maybe bacteria or something in the mulch. Craft shop, no crafts. Day camp, maybe for Priscilla's kind of people. Nursery, there's no growing taking place there except the oversized mulch pile that needs to be shipped away every year. A cemetery, no, unless folks in this council want to pick out their plot. Fire emergency station, nope. Golf course, riding academy, recreation and park, nope. We got plenty of other recreational options. Elsewhere, growing crops, no. Single family detached dwelling, nobody living there. Single family cluster developments, nope. Residential group home, no. Non-tower commercial facilities, we already got Priscilla's Pine, we don't need more towers right now. Conditional uses, here's the conditional uses. Lodging, bed and breakfast, I don't think so. Recreational uses, no. Club social building, no. Club with a shooting range, nope. Veterinary or animal hospital, no. Tower-based communication system, again, competing with Priscilla's Pine. So how then can we send a letter? Doesn't the ordinance need to be amended to include this as a use? Isn't there a process to that? Or are you attempting to spot zone that parcel by having a settlement agreement that has not gone through the proper process? We have these three stooges here that have contracted for zoning services. These people are refusing to allow the Saucon Valley School District to put up a digital sign to alert the public as to what's going on the school property. It's a communication means for the public. Okay, wasting taxpayer money on both ends, fighting over that. But these clowns that they hired under contract don't even come forward and say, hey, you got a problem here. You can't enter into that type of an agreement because the property's not zoned for that. Not zoned for it. So, is that how it works in Lower Saucon? If you know people on council, they can send a letter and you can do whatever the hell you want. But everybody else out there that has to go through the zoning process, when these people from the zoning services company that was hired come knocking on your door and issue a violation notice to you or deny you of some relief that you want to get done and become a bureaucratic impediment in your way to use your property peacefully and enjoyably in your community as it's permitted to be used with some minor variances that you want to get. But that's not how it works. You can totally change the usage of the property by simply getting into some litigation with the township and having them send a letter that is illegal. It violates the zoning laws, right? Rezone it. If you want to include compost center on the property in an RA, go ahead. But beware, you may have people putting up compost centers on all sorts of other types of RA property. That's why it's not in there. So, question I have, did you draft this, Steve? Did you prepare this agreement? Because if you did, what are you doing without taking into consideration our zoning ordinance that doesn't allow for this particular use of a compost center on that property? I just went through the section with you. I went through what's permitted in there. I don't know. Can somebody answer that for me? I mean, Victoria, Priscilla, Laura, the three of you were all hot to get this settlement agreement done. We got to get it done. We got to accomplish something because we're incompetent. We got to get this done. Let's get this across the line. Let's prove that we can give Lower Saucon money and all of our assets away to another community. And at the same time, let's get ourselves in the ringer because now you can get sued, especially when you're doing this kind of nonsense and you deny the next person down the street and now you've got an equal protection issue because the other person that's not getting treated the same way is going to come back at this township and say, aha, what are you doing here? Playing favorites, because that's what they do. They play favorites for their buddies. All right?
And can you explain to me what the ramifications of this being considered spot zoning and us allowing spot zoning for other people that may want to do anything else they want with their property? I'm not versed in this area of law.
Yeah, do whatever the hell you want. So spot zoning, the way spot zoning works is you have an area that is zoned, and you can't carve out a parcel of that area from its zoning designation and rezone it when it's inconsistent with the area that is around it that you have carved out from. It's a violation of the law, and the purpose of that is to protect you, the taxpayers, and the citizens so that you know that your property, that you're working your lives, working your fingers to the bone to pay your taxes, to pay your mortgage, to maintain and upgrade and upkeep and remodel, that you know that your money and your effort that you're putting into your property is not going to be devalued because right next door to you, they're going to put in, I don't know, let's say a compost center. You really want a compost center in your neighborhood? No, that's what the purpose of the zoning law is. You can't spot rezone. This has multiple flaws to it. it's not just spot rezoning. It totally ignored, spot zoning would be if it went through the rezoning process and it got approved. It didn't even go through the rezoning process here. It's just, I'm gonna wave my magic wand and I'm gonna write my name on a piece of paper and give it to you, and all of a sudden, voila, it's changed. You gotta go through the process. They didn't go through the process. If you wanna do that, then go through the process. Like everybody else that comes in and wants to do something, they gotta go through the process. Why not here?
Just tonight, we had a resident.
Yeah, this
come
gentleman
in.
had to come in for a lot line adjustment. Why not just write a letter to him too? Write a letter to everybody. Or it's only write letters to your buddies that you're trying to help out. Because the laws don't apply to everybody. They only apply to your people, but not the other people.
Why didn't we follow the procedures, Susie?
Because you didn't think of it. I guess.
He's got no, he knows he
I
screwed
guess
this
he
one
didn't
up.
think of it.
He screwed this one up,
Yeah, screwed the pooch.
or he would defend himself.
All right, so I'll move on. So I was
Susie
glad
Cosby.
enough to get from the township a response to my right to know request regarding the library. And the township was kind enough to give me about 3,000 or 4,000 pages of documents, many of which were unresponsive to my request, but were put in there probably just to burden me to go through things like lumbering and nonsense like that.
Kathy, did you do that?
Lumbering,
You're the
lumbering,
records
taking down trees on properties, okay? So, here's what we found in these documents from my initial review of them. We have an email from Allie Finkbeiner. She's the director of HAL, and she's discussing getting access through the Bethlehem Area Public Library. And she acknowledged that the access was not included in the supporting documents that were part of the signed contract. So, all of the people that were in here pretending to be hysterical about lacking the access card and not being able to get library materials, well, you know what? They signed this deal and you still can't get it because you don't have the access card, according to what Allie Finkbeiner says in her email. They're still trying to figure that part of this out, folks, okay? They tell you that there's this deal, we did it, but they haven't worked out the details yet. Minor details, because it was so important that people who stood at this podium and shrilled about the access card. Stop talking. I have the floor, please. Stop mumbling. I know what your problem is. Then we've got here the mutual release between Hellertown Area Library and Lower Saucon Township, to which Hellertown, the borough of Hellertown, is not a party. It doesn't make any sense to me. It should be a three-way agreement, not a two-way agreement. We found out also through this right to know request that our solicitor here, Steve Gutsuzian, uses multiple email accounts for work. We found out that he has an email address at the law firm of Peters, Moritz, Pelshey, Zulik, Landis, and Brienza. I'm wondering what other township-related business is he running out of this other email account that we're not getting information from. Interesting to me. And in fact, he cautioned his administrative assistant to not use that other email account. Why does he have an email account at the other law firm? His name doesn't appear on it. Does he own that other law firm? What kind of work is being run out of the other law firm? I think that's a law firm.
I thought you had to be honest about that as an attorney in Pennsylvania when you, what law firms you're with, you know, what your capacity is with those firms.
Well, it certainly wasn't presented to us when he applied to be the solicitor. That he's affiliated with this other law firm. Maybe that would be relevant to the decision-making here, but it was never disclosed.
And he's actively trying to hide that.
Right, well, they're about transparency, Tom. It's all about transparency. Then we've got, here's transparency. All of a sudden, a library services agreement mysteriously just appears. It exists without any trail whatsoever. Doesn't show where it came from, how it came to be, who was involved in it. And there's nothing about it. There doesn't, all of a sudden, Steve Gutsuzian has a library services agreement. Poof, again, waved the magic wand, and it appeared. I wonder if he undertook that work. I wonder if he built a township for that work. I wonder if he was approved to do that work and build a township for that work. I don't remember any conversations during any council meetings, any public discussion about this where there was a vote that directed him to undertake that work and build a township for the work. So, can we say Sunshine Act violation maybe? I don't know. Maybe there's a Sunshine Act violation there. We see emails with Ken Solt, Hellertown Library. Email with redacted details on it. I don't know why they're redacting Ken Solt's information off of those emails. It's unclear to me. Here's what we do know about this process, folks. We do know that the Hellertown Area Library Board on November 26, 2024, unanimously approved the agreement. Okay, think about this. November 26, 2024. When is the first time Lower Saucon Township residents and taxpayers heard about a library agreement? At the December 2024 meeting. So this agreement had already been drafted mysteriously, put in place mysteriously, given to Hal by who knows whatever means, approved unanimously by Hal before, certainly I, certainly Tom, before any of you taxpayers and residents out there knew about it. Now, presumably Priscilla, Victoria, and Laura knew about it, and certainly Steve knew about it because he was involved in this. So all this stuff is working behind the scenes, ladies and gentlemen, without any public disclosure of what is going on. Not only that, it was approved by the Hellertown Area Library Board, approved by the board unanimously before it ever hit our agenda. Okay, so this deal was cooked and done before it even came to us. We have at the same.
I just have a point of order, the current
You
comment.
can stop talking.
Is
It's public
now
agenda.
at 12 minutes.
It's council.
So what?
It's council.
You spoke
so
for
stop
45
talking.
minutes about the landfill, reading letters. 45 minutes straight, so shut up.
Then we got here, here's another one for you folks. At the same board meeting, November 26, 2024, they approved their 2025 budget. They approved the budget, and the budget reflected increased funding from Lower Saucon Township. Lower Saucon Township. So they're already approving budgeting and funding from us that we never even knew about. Never knew about it. It's already cooked into this. It's baked into it. So then we've got Hal wants to provide a presentation of pertinent facts and statistics. Pertinent facts, this is the same stuff that Tom and I and Sandy and Mark Ingalls and Jen Zavacki were asking for during this whole process. Can you give us facts and statistics? But now here they are. We'll give you all the facts and statistics. Why wouldn't you give it to us before? Because you wanted to play politics. And these fools, these three fools on council, reward them with over $1 million of your taxpayers, the taxpayer dollars, $1 million of taxpayer dollars. We got an email that I found. This is one. Priscilla forwarded an email to Steve Gutsuzian from here to here, right here. These two. Reporting that Ken Solt was guilty of fraud, guilty of selling tobacco to minors in Florida, also reporting a lack of awareness of any other library in Pennsylvania where the board president controls the operations, questioning why the library director quit, and there was no good reason for Hal not to be transparent unless they were committing fraud, and accuses Ken Solt of being a crook and having a real last name of Gilbert, but there's nothing to see here. They knew about this before they approved this agreement, never mentioned any of this to you folks out there in the public, and they're gonna give over $1 million to an organization that has an individual like this who is in charge of it and not question what the hell is going on here. How do you do that? Now, I don't know if these allegations that are in this email are accurate or not, but at least investigate it. Maybe they did. What did they find? They never told me. They never told you. Why wouldn't we want to know that? But there's nothing to see here, folks. Move on. Then we've got an email, November 2, 2024, email from Ken Solt, addressed to Victoria and Priscilla, copying Steve Gutsuzian here, with an executed agreement between Hellertown Borough and Hellertown Area Library, also updating the bylaws to allow support from 2 municipalities. Gee, I wonder who the other municipality was that was subject to those amended bylaws that would allow the 2 municipalities, certainly us. So it looks like by at least November 2nd, this was already baked in. They already created a budget at that point, banking on a larger service area. And here's the kicker. These fools stood up and screamed and kicked and lost their minds. And you folks out there in the audience too, I see you there. I see you. Lost your minds about having anything to do with Southern Lehigh Public Library. Southern Lehigh Public Library may as well be on the other side of the Gaza Strip. It's right down the road. We can't have anything to do with it. We can't have anything. Here's what it is. Plans to reach out to the surrounding organizations such as the Lehigh Carbon Library Co-op for commitments to service Lower Saucon Township. Who's in the Lehigh Carbon Library Co-op? Southern Lehigh Public Library. These same frauds screeched hysterically about Lower Saucon having anything to do with Southern Lehigh Public Library, and here it is, as of November 2nd, 2024, they're cozying up with them. Why? Because it's all about politics. And everybody who voted for them on this issue should have known, and we told you, it's all about politics, folks. Now they're more than happy to line themselves with Southern Lehigh Public Library. Why? Because it's politically expedient to do so. Then we have October 7th, 2024, State Representative Bob Freeman, a political hack in himself, sends a message to Mark Ramson, legislative aide to the Department of Education, where the Office of Commonwealth Libraries resides, about Priscilla wanting to set up a virtual meeting with OCL to discuss Lower Saucon Township becoming part of Hal's service area, and that there was a time crunch. Why was there a time crunch? Because they suck, because they're dishonest, because they're incompetent, because they are frauds, because they're unable to get anything done, so they're going to recruit their Democratic pal, Bob Freeman, to get the job done that they can't get done themselves. And what is that job? To get OCL off its ass, to move this along so they can ink this deal by the end of the year. That's what this was about. Mark Ramson acknowledges this, October 7th. OCL was aware of the situation. How was OCL aware of the situation? Are they playing politics too? They were reviewing a letter from Lower Saucon Township. What letter were they reviewing? I don't remember seeing a letter from Lower Saucon Township dealing with this issue. Do you, Tom?
No.
None. Who authored it? Did it take an official position? If so, what position did it take? Who authorized it? It was never on an agenda. It was never discussed here. Is this more fraud and corruption? Sounds like it to me. Letter's never been provided to me. If you have it, provide it, because it wasn't in the documents that were produced to me. It's out there somewhere. It's got to be there somewhere. You got an obligation, right to know law. You got to turn this stuff over to me.
Kathy, if you're the right to know officer, you should be very careful about what you sign that Gutsuzian's putting together, because he's holding stuff back, and it's going to be a problem.
Here's what the frauds at OCL said. OCL's leadership team is more than happy to bring this group together to provide a clear roadmap to making Lower Saucon Township a part of Hellertown's area. I never got one communication from OCL during all of this debacle about them being happy to help us do anything. They were more than happy to sit on their hands and not do a damn thing. Not do a damn thing. And in fact, when we approached them and tried to get some resolution of this, including when I went to the settlement conference in federal court and talked with them about what can we do to resolve this, that's between you and the municipality. It's between you and the local library. We can't get involved in this, really. And now you're more than happy to get involved? Go to hell. Here we go. Also says, it may be helpful to know that the library is not precluded from providing library service outside their area. May extend library privileges to persons not residing in the municipality. This is the same thing that Tom, Sandy, Mark, Jen, me, Link were saying all along, yet Hal refused to do that. Why? Who knows? And it's despite these fools giving them a $100,000 gift, which was a payment, then it was a gift, then it's a payment. What is it? If any library can provide library services, why then are we not bidding for that? We're not indentured to go to Hellertown Library. We can bid to any library in the competitive bid process, as we're supposed to do for tax dollars, for anything over, what dollar amount, Steve? $20,000? $25,000? This is $100,000 here. $1 million is the deal, and we never sent it out to bid. But we can go anywhere, but we didn't send it out to bid. Then you got Priscilla Victoria meeting in late October with OCL and Hal, along with Bob Freeman, Ken Solt, Ali Finkbinder, and our solicitor. Who authorized Steve Gutsuzian to go to this meeting? Who paid Gutsuzian to go to this meeting? Did we incur cost from Gutsuzian for going to this meeting? Lower Saucon Township taxpayer dollars, there they go. We know that Priscilla started the process before September 26, 2024, with a phone call to Bob Freeman, and he was going to make a call to OCL and get back to her. But we also know, alas, it was much earlier than that. November 30th, 2023, right on the heels of the election where these three clowns got voted in, Tom Rieger, the president of the Clown Posse Hellertown Borough Council, sends an email to Priscilla on the subject, Hellertown Borough, Lower Saucon, Hellertown Area Library, Conversation for the Future. This is within 2 months of Hellertown rejecting
Just
Lower
point of order,
Saucon
we're now at
Township's
20 minutes.
2 months of Lower Saucon Township's offer being rejected by Hellertown. They don't want to talk to us at all. And 2 months later, when their buddies get elected into office, now let's talk. Now let's get a deal done. Let's get some grift over our way. Let's get the grift across the Saucon Creek so that we can line our pockets over there. Put it in our library. So they have a meeting, a Zoom meeting, with Rieger, Tom Rieger, and Ken Solt, the same Ken Solt who's the president of Hal, the same Hal that took the position that is not under the control and direction of Hellertown, but yet Tom Rieger, the president of Hellertown, is the one saying, we all got to get together and get this deal done. That's what he's saying. That's what the intent of this was. Had to be.
Wants Lower Saucon money.
Of course. But yet, Hal takes the position that they're not subject to the control of the borough. And they won't respond to right to know because they're not a governmental entity, even though the Office of Commonwealth Records said that they are a governmental entity, and they do need to respond to this stuff. And President Judge Daly said, respond to the damn discovery, and I'm gonna sanction you. Then you got Hal acknowledging, here's something for you folks. Hal acknowledges that it delayed in providing its 2023 audit and its 990. It waited until October of 2024. Interesting timing. They don't produce this until this agreement's already baked into the process, already done. Secret negotiations were taking place. They knew they were gonna catch hell without having the audit and the 990 form filed before these three, they had to give these three fools some cover, say, now here's our 990, now you can get the deal done. It's legit. They gave away $1 million. And then they try to say that the reason why they couldn't provide the 990 was because there was litigation that was ongoing. You can't chew gum and walk at the same time, right? You can't do your 990, your federally government required form to support your tax exempt status because you're involved in litigation. I mean, like, don't pay your taxes and see if the IRS comes and say, well, I'm sorry, I'm involved in litigation, I couldn't get my taxes done. That's not gonna float, especially when you're an organization like this. So here's the important financial details from poor little Hal. Poor little Hal, broke as a dope, claiming to be tax exempt 501c3. Their mission, to promote lifelong learning by providing free and equal access to quality service and collections. Free and equal access. Nothing free about what I heard from them. Either pay up or we're gonna kick you out and not tell you we're kicking you out. So it's not free and equal. That's a lie. Also says to provide convenient multimedia resources and programs to meet the educational, recreational, cultural needs and the interest of the borough of Hellertown, and wait for it, Lower Saucon Township and other residents. So they're submitting a form to the federal government saying that they're gonna be providing free and equal access to library services, and that they're providing those free and equal library services, resources, and programs to Lower Saucon Township, which is a lie. It wasn't free, there was nothing free about it. They kicked us out and they wouldn't let us in. It's a misrepresentation on a tax form. It should be investigated for the fraud that it is. It's a lie. They excluded us and it wasn't free. Here are the folks that are involved in the Hellertown Area Library, folks. Ken Solt, Jazdeep Alawalia, Pam Hahn, Jen Ligo, the treasurer, Andrew Hughes, and William Rowe. If you know them, maybe ask them what's going on. Ask them why their organization conducted itself that way. Ask them what's going on. Ask them what's going on in terms of taking Lower Saucon Township taxpayer money. Here's more about the poor little Hellertown Library. Anybody want to take a guess as to what the net assets and balance are? Anybody? Anybody? Over $860,000, $866,176 to be precise. That's before the $1 million that these three clowns fleeced from you taxpayers and sent across the creek. That's before that. Their net assets, they're so poor, their net assets from 2022 to 2023, the same period that they want to fight with Lower Saucon Township and engage in politics with us, their net assets grew by more than 7%. That includes the depreciation for their building, okay? It grew by more than 7%. How poor are they? They got almost $1 million in assets, their assets are growing, and they're poor. Guess what their liabilities were? $2,433. That's what Priscilla collects in a year doing nothing on this council. $2,433. So their assets exceed their liabilities by more than 350 times. What business in this world exists where the assets exceed their liabilities by 350 times? None. And not even a thank you to Lower Saucon Township taxpayers for funding this boondoggle. All we get instead of a thank you is an FU. They'll try to trick you and they're gonna say that their assets are mostly their building, but that's not so. Their building is only about 40% of their assets, and it continues to go down to accumulated depreciation. Their program revenue, while they're going through this dispute with Lower Saucon, almost tripled. Why? Because, to your point earlier, if you keep giving out money to nonprofits, they're gonna take it and they're not gonna sell the hoagies, they're not gonna do the fundraising or anything else. But when they need to, they'll do it. But when you don't need to do it, well, we'll just sit back and wait for the taxpayer to bail us out and give us the money. That's, to your point, that's exactly what it was, ma'am, so I appreciate you bringing that up earlier.
And Priscilla doesn't pay payroll taxes.
Here's another inconvenient truth for them. They had gift card revenue of $18,185. They don't say how much they paid for the gift cards. Did the cost of the gift cards exceed the revenue that they got? If so, did some of those gift cards fall off the back of the truck? I don't know. I guess we'll never know exactly those details because these clowns allow the right to know litigation that was supposed to find out the answers to many of these questions, that we now know some of this information through the right to know requests. But they give them a pass, so I guess we may not know. We also learned through this right to know request with regard to the crossing guards that we pay in Hellertown. We found out from the Saucon Valley School District business manager, Dave Boninger, is that Boninger? That Saucon Valley School District has one crossing guard. And where is that crossing guard located? At the corner of Constitution and Walnut Streets in Hellertown. In Hellertown. Yet Lower Saucon Township taxpayers are paying for that. Explain to me why we're paying for that. I mean, I'm about safety and kids and everything else, but I don't see Hellertown paying for Lower Saucon cops in the school district building. It's on our side of the property line. We send our police in. They're not paying us for it.
180 times a year we send them.
I mean, like, okay, if we're gonna pay for half the crossing guard, they should pay for half the police. Isn't that fair? Or we're just a piggy bank to like throw money around. And then we find out through the right to know request that our interim manager and permanent finance director sought approval from Lynn Hill, the auditor, the controller, auditor, on the semi-annual financial report. Think about that. An auditor whose job it is to make sure the finances are being handled properly is being, this is after the fact, is being asked to approve the financial report prepared by the finance director before it's even out there into the public. Has this ever happened before in the history of mankind, where you're asking an auditor to approve what you're gonna do before you even do it? The auditor's supposed to go back and look retroactively, not forward. How about this, Lynn Hill? How about you do your own damn report instead of trying to influence the report that our finance manager, or our finance director is doing? Or are you incompetent and incapable of doing that? And why would a finance director have to get a stamp of approval for an auditor? The finance report is the finance director's job. So what is going on here? And then we see in this process that Lynn Hill revised the finance director's financial report. So now we've got a controller doing the job of the finance director when it's the finance director's, like the roles are blurred. And there's a reason why these roles exist, for checks and balances to make sure that things are on the up and up. And I'm not accusing Kathy of anything, and I'm not accusing Lynn Hill of anything, but follow the process. You're getting yourselves, you're blurring the line, and that's when things happen. And I'm putting it out there for the public to know that if there are problems that occur, look back to this point in time, to these three fools that are in charge of this council, because I don't know what's going on. Kathy's overworked, she's overburdened, they keep throwing more on her, they won't give her the township manager full-time role position, they want her interim, they want her doing this, that, and the other thing. Give me a break. Give her a break. We also know this. My right to know request responses were limited to only their township email addresses. And I know that because we have Priscilla sending in a legal case from Pennsylvania. Doesn't say where she got it from, whatever her source is, but the case that she sends in seems to argue for the proposition that if a elected municipal official is using accounts other than their official municipal account, then those other accounts are not subject to right to know law, which is false, okay? That's untrue. I mean, talk about Hillary Clinton's server in the closet. That's what we're talking about here, folks. So I can assure you there is going to be an appeal of this right to know request to the Office of Open Records for a number of things. One of which is all of this other information that has not been provided to me. Certainly, Steve Gutsuzian hasn't produced anything for me with regard to any of this. Now, he's engaged in communications.
Laura, point of order.
Engaged in communication.
30 minutes.
Stop talking. I know you want to cover up, Victoria. I know you want to cover up your malfeasance.
Part of the cover-up right here.
But no emails from Gutsuzian about his back and forth in communications. Those communications with third parties are not privileged and confidential, okay? Those are with third parties that are subject to disclosure. They're not in furtherance of the township's business where it's only an internal attorney communication that's taking place. And if it was an internal attorney communication taking place, he is obligated to produce what's called a privilege log. And the privilege log would identify the document generally and what privilege is being asserted for. And then a third party can look at it and say, yes, it's privileged, no, it's not privileged. But we have none of that here.
Cosby's nervous,
Right.
he's drinking water.
Right. So there's none of that. Well, you see, it's, it's dry mouth. You get a little nervous. So we're going to be looking for that too, folks. So stay tuned on that. The case that Priscilla shared was this Pencrest School District versus Cagle case. So, they talk about, where is it? Prioritize our residents' concerns. We do not owe favors to any special interest groups. Foster transparency in all levels of township government. There's the transparency. That's the transparency you get from these clowns. So, you also heard these people stand up, Victoria in particular, Priscilla, shrieking about the fact that I had sent right to know requests to the township. The right to know request response that I received here is number 1,997. 1,000. So there are 1,996 other right to know requests that have been submitted to this township, and some of those other requests were included in the materials provided to me. So to suggest that I am somehow burdening the township and its staff by submitting right to know requests is a complete lie. There are many other right to know requests that have been submitted, not by me, thousands, well, hundreds, over 1,000, over 19,980 probably. Other right to know requests have been submitted. And had I not submitted these right to know requests, the public would not have known about anything that I just talked about. You frauds would rather cover it all up so the public doesn't know what the hell you're doing to take advantage of their tax dollars and ship it across the creek. One other thing. Two other things. One is January 3rd, 2024, an email from Hellertown, Marcinson, Heinzelman, Rieger. Their manager sought to collaborate with Lower Saucon Township. Okay, that's less than 2 months after the election. Tom, did you ever get an email from Tom Rieger, Dave Heinzelman, Matt Marcinson, Kathy, the manager for Hellertown, asking you to collaborate with them when we were in the majority?
No.
Yeah, and I didn't either. I mean, I wonder why.
Yeah, I wonder.
I mean, if I got that email, I would tell them to go F off and stop grifting Lower Saucon Township taxpayers, but not these fools. They're all too willing to get into bed with them. Here's Laura's response to that point. Your new and improved council president, new and improved, here she is, 2.0.
Lost.
She's the one who doxes elected officials in the middle of the night.
Drunk.
She says, wonderful, wonderful. We are anxious to work with Hellertown Committee to rebuild our community and partnership as well. Wonderful. Meaning, I'm so excited to give away our taxpayer money. Why not just say to them, how big of a check can I write you? How big of a check? Well, we know at least one, $98,237.26 lump sum that was sent to them March 19th, 2024, about 8 to 10 weeks after this wonderful meeting that was going to take place. And then they send them another $1 million on top of that. Folks, you elected them or you failed to show up. Don't make the same mistake again. That's all I have. Thank you very much for your time.
All right, Tom?
Yeah, who put together this right to know request? You're the right to know, you were elected the right to know officer?
Yes.
Okay, and who put together the documents?
One of the administrative assistants was helping me.
I just proved a lot
Please
right
speak into
there.
the microphone. Could they,
Administrative assistant was helping me.
you and the administrators?
Mr. reviewed some as well.
So again, that's an important part. You're saying Susie reviewed it all before it was turned over?
He reviewed some.
What do you mean some?
He reviewed what we had.
What you had, you reviewed the response, and he took things out of there.
Not that I'm aware of, but he may have if he felt that they were privileged.
So you're saying he did take things out of there, or he didn't?
I wasn't in communication with that end of it, but I would imagine if
Who was in communication?
He came in and reviewed the documents and removed things that he would consider privileged.
But he didn't provide a privilege log to you?
No.
Okay. And why didn't you know that? Was the assistant working with him, or were you?
The assistant was working with him as well. We just don't have time. I'm sorry. We just don't.
So you don't have time, but that's not really a good excuse.
No, it's not a good excuse.
When this is going to be appealed now.
I know.
And we were exposing the township to penalties for not responding.
We responded in good faith.
I disagree with that.
Well, I mean, how can you say?
Kathy, I'm not accusing you, but in terms of what was not produced to me, there's other stuff that wasn't given to me, and it's very clear that it wasn't.
And then
that's not your fault necessarily, Kathy.
Susie, no one's asking you.
But I'm the attorney, and what we are right now is you have taken an adverse position to the township.
No.
Yes.
No, I've taken actually a position that supports the township and the taxpayers for what's going on here. So it's your assumption, adverse to you and adverse to these three fools, but not adverse to the township. In fact, in support of the township.
I have the floor, and I'm an elected official. And Susie, you have a chance to rectify it. You can put what you removed out, and then there wouldn't be an appeal. You can provide a privilege log, and maybe there wouldn't be an appeal. So don't say we're adverse. We're trying to solve a problem here that the township has.
Transparency problem.
You're being obstructionist to that.
You're browbeating the manager.
I'm browbeating you. I'm browbeating you. I'm not browbeating the manager. She said she did it in good faith. She admitted you just didn't like that she admitted that you took stuff out. That's what you didn't like.
There were certain objections that were made.
Right. But you didn't provide a privilege log. What are they?
Objections are in your response to your.
No, they're not. There's no privilege log.
Privilege.
There's no privilege log. You're a half-assed attorney. At best, a half-assed attorney. Now, I would just warn you that if you're relying on him to sign these things, after he goes through them, I would caution you from that, Kathy. They're going to throw you under the bus before they throw him under the bus. And he'll be able to defend himself somehow, try, and anything. I just caution you on that. And the other thing about the library is when we talk about providing free services, they do provide free services to Freemansburg. Freemansburg makes no library allocation to Hellertown, and Freemansburg doesn't have an official library. But if you're a Freemansburg resident and you go in that library, you get a card with an access sticker, and it's been going on for years. It's a deal that Bob Freeman, Harrisburg political scum, longtime Harrisburg, this guy's been in Harrisburg for close to 50 years. Even when he was out of office, he worked for the Democrats in Harrisburg. He's been collecting taxpayer dollars for 50 years. He personifies Harrisburg political scum. Bob Freeman brokered that deal with Hellertown, I'm sure. And so they've been getting it for forever. They haven't provided funding for a library, I bet you, in 10, 15, 20 years. They were part of Bethlehem, is my understanding, at one time, and they walked for the same reason we walked. It was expensive, and it was just too expensive. So that's Bob Freeman. Okay. With regard to the 3-minute rule that was put into play at the last meeting, wanted to get a quote here. When the 3-minute rule was put into effect, Victoria was outraged, explaining that residents will not be able to comment after each agenda item. That this proposal, doesn't provide them with enough opportunity to speak on agenda items or non-agenda items, because it was limited to 3 minutes for non-agenda items, when before it had been unlimited. So she said this to a website publication. This would have been in January 2nd of 2022. And how things have changed. She's talking about, you're about to be muzzled, is what the website says. And so I guess muzzling is fine of the public when you're in the majority and have to answer some questions. and that it's not fine if you're in the minority and want some answers. Let me get, this is from the meeting. This is from the public meeting. On January 2nd, 2024.
Seconded by.
Right.
And then.
Right.
All the way down.
So.
Seconded by.
Can't find it yourself.
Uh-huh.
You need help.
That's right.
You need help.
Yeah.
Need help.
You need help.
Lots of it.
You can read it if you want. But
Well,
I'll read it.
on the floor, and I'm sure they're gonna cut me off.
All right. I know, they're covered
You can
up.
read it right here.
I want to see
You can read there and
how
just scroll-
fraud and
keep scrolling down.
hypotheticals, right. Mr.
Come
Bonanno said
prepared.
he's trying to understand exactly what she said.
We'll start here.
Come prepared. Look, you can't even come prepared.
Ms. Doftar-Cadero said that if she can, Priscilla be recognized. She thinks the public comment policy is a good thing for our township. Number one, it provides the ability for anybody to come speak before them. They are a township that is next to other townships, and so she wants people from other townships as well to speak on every agenda item as it comes up. Council members, council chambers to discuss the issues important, so it makes this pretty clear for anybody to come and speak before council. They also, everybody knows that they had 3 minutes for quite a long time, and it is very restrictive, especially because you had to lump all your comments for every single agenda item at the beginning of the council meeting. Again, Ms. Optoff is outraged by this, that she doesn't have, when she's piping on about the landfill, the time should be limitless. But if you want to speak, the public, the taxpayers, well, you're limited, you know? And you talk about someone who loves to hear herself speak, my God. And how many times do you say in one meeting? Oh my gosh. Miss Now she goes on. Now what they are doing is after every agenda item, there will be a period written comment on that agenda item. Specifically, they will have 5 minutes. And they will also be given the opportunity to extend that time if they wish. Of course, if they have a lot of people, they might have to keep the 5 minutes for that specific agenda item. But this will allow them to use all of their 5 minutes on one item instead of maybe there are 10 items on the agenda, and they have to figure out which one they want to comment on, which is exactly what they did. She completely reversed from this, and this was only January 2nd, 2024, a year ago. So she thinks it's a wonderful thing for a municipality to be open and free for everybody to speak. And she so appreciates that this was prepared, and she will second the motion. There we go. So when it's your turn to speak, she doesn't want that. Ms. Ray said that this is the way they operated. Lost here, she must have found herself for a minute, said that this is the way they've operated several years ago and for a long time, and it really didn't seem to be a problem. She doesn't think meetings went terribly long, but like Victoria mentioned, you didn't have to try to combine. If you had 3 items that were important, trying to put them all into one little statement in 3 minutes was very difficult. A lot's difficult for Lost, but this is very difficult apparently for everybody. And they've heard that repeated over the years, and here, last couple of years, getting rid of that will be great. They got rid of it, they brought it back. Also, she's hoping they will never have to read the whole long list again, personally, because it's boring. I think she's talking about the code of conduct. Ms. De Leon said, okay, we have a motion on the floor. May we have a roll call, please? And the 3 of them voted to give 3 minutes to every agenda item. 5 minutes to every agenda item at first, right?
Can't get it right.
Then about, what was that, September, October? It was cut back to 3 minutes, right? And now it's 3 minutes at the beginning and 3 minutes at the end. Talk about hypocrites and frauds. And what did they run on? What did they run on their campaign? Transparency and being civil to the public that comes before. It is bullshit. The civil to the public that comes before them. That's who they are. That's who they are. But I want to thank. We know they're hypocrites, and I want to thank the public for coming forward with a lot of stuff. I have a lot of stuff for coming meetings that I'm still researching, but we're going to get into what it means for our roads crew to have a no firehouse rule. We're going to talk about discipline on the roads crew on our public works and how management has failed. We're going to talk about more right to knows, and stuff that's going to come from that and that type of appeal. We're going to talk about transmissions and warranties. We're gonna talk about, some other thing. What was the other thing someone was telling me? It was something with Miss Ray and her property and her former spouse or whoever it was that left. But thank you all, these people, they find me at the Giant, at the Bagel Basket, at Rite Aid and other places, and they are more than willing to share their tales and their information, and there'll be more of that coming. Anybody that wants to contact me with information about how poorly run the township is under the current majority, I'm more than willing to listen. And we'll give you anonymity and bring these concerns to the public fore. Thank you very much. And Kathy knows exactly what I'm talking about.
Tom, one thing I just want to get clarification on. Yes. In the right to know request, there was a township taxpayer that said that, alluded that the current township administration is inherited quite a mess from the prior administration. Mm-hmm. So essentially what they're doing is they're trying to say this is all Mark Hudson's fault.
Yes.
It's Mark Hudson's fault or Link Treadwell's fault for how bad things are. It's never their fault.
Right.
There's no ownership of it. They're so incompetent and they have the audacity to try to blame others.
The competent council we're coming up on a year since Mark Hudson has left, and competent council in that time could have very easily hired a township manager to provide our township staff with the appropriate level of staffing that they need to get things done, to make sure right to knows are done accurately, to make sure employees are disciplined accurately or appropriately. They could have hired a zoning officer that had local knowledge, that could build a relationship with township residents, that all those benefits that you get when you have a zoning officer, instead of farming it out to some political hacks, in my opinion, that'll just do whatever they want, and making the political hack, our zoning officer's contract political. Basically, council can renew or not renew that contract, fire or hire them. Whereas before, council never had that power. When you had a zoning officer, only council could, or only the township manager could replace the zoning officer, because the zoning officer, like our police chief and like our other employees, work for the township manager, not for the council. But that's again another incompetency. No township manager, no zoning officer, and we have a solicitor who, in my opinion, is completely incompetent, and it's going to really, I think, come through with this right to know stuff that, he's taking things out of a right to know, not providing a privilege log, just taking stuff out that's embarrassing to him, and I'm sure, and, someday we'll get into the Cosby story with Mr. Susie over there, and that'll be fun too. I'm still tracking some stuff down on some other things with him. So it'll all be fun. It's going to be a great year. Happy New Year, happy 2025. Looking forward to it. It's going to be great. And I want to thank township staff for their great 2024 work. And we will proceed, and hopefully you get some competent. I know, Priscilla's like, well, we offered to get him a temp employee. And that's typical from someone who hasn't been in the workforce for 40 years. They just think anybody can come in here and do your jobs. It's insulting to you, but she doesn't know any better. She's been collecting disability or workman's comp, whatever insurance she's been collecting, sitting on her ass for 40 years. So she doesn't know anything about a professional work environment or an office. And apparently she couldn't even hack being the president for another year. 1 year we ran her off. Too bad. But that's all right. We got a new one. We got lost. We got lost now, so it's all fun.
Priscilla, do you have a report?
I do, thank you. Let's see, January 8th, I attended a Conservancy meeting. January 13th, I attended a Lower Saucon Township Historical Committee meeting. January 14th, last night, we had a art gallery exhibit opening at the Conservancy that was well attended.
Hard work.
It's a fair.
Hard work.
January 16th, tomorrow, we have a landfill meeting at 2 p.m. I also want to say that regarding comments that were made previously by the two of them, Years before I got on council, the township's EIT taxes were collected by Berkheimer. I was not here when
Her
that,
sister's firm.
shut up and let me talk. I was not on council. Berkheimer had been doing it for years and years and years. And my sister, yeah, sure, she does work there. So when I got on council and we were making decisions involving them, I called the Ethics Commission and they said that, and Steve, maybe you could help me out here. My sister's not.
Cell phone tower, just like you did with cell phone tower.
You're not,
But she's
it's not your
a member of
turn.
my family.
She interrupted
per se,
Jason.
Like my husband.
She interrupted Jason.
Do you know what I'm saying? So that's,
What are you saying?
well, can you explain that? Because I'm not sure if I can explain
What you're
it.
saying is the ethics people gave you a ruling somehow, but I didn't see that ruling.
Thank you for the
They
translation,
said-
Steve.
But they said that my sister, even though she was in my family, she wasn't my immediate family in my household.
Sister's not immediate family?
Oh, stop it, Tom. Will you let me talk? So anyway, so they said I had no conflict, and that was affirmed by both solicitors at the time, Ed McCarsky and your buddy Treadwell. Both of them supported me being able to vote on that it was not a conflict. So if you have any issues, you can talk to them. I'm sure they'll probably won't remember, but I remember.
He was your buddy. You employed him for 20 years, didn't you?
Yes, fine.
Priscilla, I'm pretty sure neither of them liked you.
So that's all I have to say. Thank you for putting up with all of this display, people out there. It's really, really awful.
Thank you for being
I thought
a-
it was gonna get better, but
Apologize.
it's not.
Thanks for being a fraud and a hypocrite about the 3-minute rule.
Keep pandering.
Thanks for being a fraud and a hypocrite about the 3-minute rule.
Hey, Victoria, do you have a report?
Yeah, I do have a report. As Kathy indicated, the Saucon Rail Trail is having the ribbon cutting ceremony this Saturday. One thing that they have done is they did commission a special mug, which was provided by donations, which has a special art commissioned on the front of it that says Saucon Rail Trail on it, and it's being given to, I think, like the first 100 people or that come to that ribbon cutting to get the commemorative mug. So I just wanted to point that out. Also, just some highlights for landfill committee meeting. We have added the two, I would call related facilities that are part of that plot, which include the area at Energy and the PFAS treatment plant. There was a PFAS treatment plant grand opening about a month ago. So I'm looking forward to hearing about how those things are operating. So I invite everybody to come to that if they so choose. The only other thing I'd say is since I heard a lot of talking about Mr. Hudson and how wonderful everything's been, and I also heard a lot of talk about thousands of right-to-know requests and so forth. And at least when Mr. Hudson was here, he had advised that, you know, moving forward, if we receive continuous harassing right-to-know requests from certain members of our council, there is a potential under new regulations for a harassment claim should there be an appeal. So at the time, Mr. Hudson was actually looking forward to an appeal. So I don't know whether we'll get one now, but I just wanted to alert staff of that because it was something he felt was necessary given the current climate on council. That's all.
All right, thank you.
It's harassment. One right to know this year. and
I
it's
have a
harassment
report
already.
as well.
Good joke.
So, as Priscilla mentioned, the Historic Committee did meet
Well, she mentioned it. Why are you?
first time this year. I have different comments. So we have two newly appointed members that joined the committee, as well as a new township historian. So we're excited to get everybody to meet each other for the first time and discuss things that we would like to see to do in the township. They were impressed with the amount of information that we have on our website regarding our historic areas. So we do have a number of sections out there regarding our historic areas, which are Apple Butter Road, the Bingen area, the Crispin Farm, Earhart's Mill, and the Heller Homestead. We're also talked about getting familiar with those areas, driving around, and considering if we had any other historic areas in the township that we would like to document and add on to the website, which is in the process of getting updated. And also EAC held its reorg meeting last night, and we discussed a lot of our projects that we want to work on for next year, as well as made our recommendations for our 2 new associate members. So now our board is back to being full. And I will make a clarification, because it's been said umpteen times here about $1 million handed over to Hellertown for the library. So at this point, I don't even think we made our January payment yet, so there's not a lump sum payment going to Hellertown for library. It's a 10-year agreement, and we pay in monthly installments that are, I don't have the number off the top of my head, but it's less than $9,000 a month, so.
They write in the agreement that if they stop service, they owe them all $1 million.
Tom, you know what, it's
All
not.
$1 million.
10 years.
All $1 million if they don't pay it.
12 months times 10 years.
Yeah, right. And there's a provision, if they don't provide library services, all $1 million is due immediately.
Off when it is not your turn to talk. Turn your microphone off if it's not your turn to talk.
$1 million immediately due if they don't, if we don't use their services.
Well,
That's in the contract.
and it was the same arrangement that you were trying to set up with Southern Lehigh Public Library, as I recall. Yes,
No, it wasn't.
With both libraries to
You
come
can
together
stop
and create a
interrupting
larger
my
regional library is what we're trying to do.
Gonna choke again?
And no one was interested in dealing with you guys.
Yeah, I wonder why.
you have
Because you're an
a,
impediment to it all.
Brian is gone, so we don't have an engineer
money does
report.
talk.
And now we're at public comment for agenda and non-agenda items. Do we have somebody who wishes to speak? Thank you.
I had a Zoom. Diane Hollowell. I'm going to do the Trump weave here because I got a whole bunch of stuff. First, I have to say thank you for limiting the time. I have heard from so many taxpayers thanking the ladies for limiting that. One of the biggest comments I got, no offense, sir, it's like they was like, who is that elderly gentleman who always takes up so much time and always mocks Laura Ray? Laura, you're only going to get it 2 times tonight. You had it once, you're going to get it again. And I'm sure it's so funny, like, Jason, you went on and on and on, and that taxpayer's probably fuming because he's always complaining about Victoria talking. So I'm sure he was sitting there sweating it out. What else do I have? This is a question. Since the taxpayers paid over $3 million on that ball field, and it could only be used 6 months out of the year, are there plans to hold any other types of events there for the other 6 months? I know that's a question I can't ask.
We should probably have a circus with lots of clowns. We've got a lot of clowns that would show up, I'm sure.
Okay, and Mr. Bononis, just so you know, only in the United States can you be a tax cheat, a draft dodger, a felon, an adulteress. You can be a failed businessman who bankrupt 3 casinos, and still you can become president of the United States. So, Jason, anything is possible. Come on, do the microphone one. No, I want the microphone one.
I don't want one. I don't
We're also, you know, this new president, and you're so concerned about emails. I'm sure that but you stop. This is non-agenda items. I want my time back. I'm sure you were worried about, you know, Ivanka when she was his senior advisor using her private server. And you're so funny about nepotism with De Leon. You must have been fuming when Jared and Ivanka were given the White House. And Carochi, where did he go? Carochi, please play this back. I recorded you in less than 2 minutes. You did 27 times. Like, please stop. It's like so annoying to sit here. And let me see, is that it? People serving terms. Priscilla, don't worry about it. We got Chuck Grassley. He's been serving since 1959. Mitch McConnell since 1978. So you're doing a good job. Stay there. Just don't pull. Will you stop? Why is this man? Can you stop interrupting me? Is that why the police are here? Stop. Huh?
Okay, 30 seconds.
Walk your dog. Thank you.
Thank you.
And next.
Your turn. Next time, don't sit next to me. I'm getting tired of hearing your babble.
Maybe the smell is getting to you, yeah.
State your name and
Order so
start
this
your
woman doesn't
comment
attack this
period.
gentleman. Can you get order so that Andrea Witchin
state your
doesn't
name?
accuse the speaker of smelling? Can you
Oh, that's
please
lovely.
get Andrea Witchin to stop accusing the speaker of smelling and interrupting him? It's Andrea Witchin interrupting this gentleman, saying that he smells
You're
and
interrupting
preventing
the
him
meeting.
from exercising his First Amendment right. There she is right there, folks. Andrea Witchin, Saucon Shenanigans
interrupting the
blogger,
meeting.
calling you out.
Read her filthy blog.
Right. Speaking of Phil.
The gentleman in the third row.
State your name and start your comment period now.
No, I will not.
Okay, well then,
As I
sit
did
down, we'll have the
before,
next-
and you said we didn't have to, Laura Ray. You said that.
That was never stated.
Yeah, you did.
Must
Once
state
you
your name.
stated the first time. Now, what's the
Okay.
rule say? Would you read me the rule, Laura Ray?
Why don't we just start the 3
No.
minutes?
See that? No.
Just start the 3
I
minutes.
want to challenge her, and you have no right to step in and say that. Right?
Point of
I want to
order.
see where it says every time I step up to this podium, I have to give my name. Right? You're going to go on that Caducean. Let's get on to Victoria sitting there and yelling at him so nobody can hear. Yeah, I know. That's the only way you gosh darn Democrats can do it. Shut everybody down. Don't let them speak. That's what I was trying to do before. I guess you couldn't shut down Jason Bononis because he tells the truth. And I just hope I see you in front of... Would you shut up?
You won't gavel that, will you? You won't gavel that, will you, Laura?
Let's
No.
have one person at a time speaking,
it.
please. One person speaking at a time.
Good. Now you're going to enforce it. I noticed you did not enforce it when VOC over here was yelling at Tom Carochi, who had the floor. How convenient. And there's Priscilla. Oh, I didn't know any of that. Just like you didn't know anything about the signs on the dais in front of you. My God, woman, you probably didn't even know what building you were in.
See?
Yeah, see how that works? Lie, lie, lie. And when you can't, just downshout everybody. And I have to give it to Virginia. At least she hasn't done it to me. And I just want to comment, that's what, would you stop? Okay, you talk, go ahead. Go ahead.
I'm just laughing at your comments. I'm talking, that's it. That's all I have to do.
You know what? Next time I'm going to laugh at your comments and, you name one time.
Oh, please.
Oh, please. Don't give me that, oh, please. You people are just rotten. You know, you're just like Pulowski. Now he's asking Joe Biden to pardon him. His own government, his own Democrats threw him in jail for 15 years. That was, yep, he's a good one. And by the way, Pelosi's been there they make everybody else, she makes everybody else look like kids. The bottom line is here I'm trying to read this statement from this woman, and now we find out very simply, I had no idea what's going on here with what he was saying. And I'll see if I can finish it off. Sidelining public comment, yet permitted filibustering, right? Narrative Democratic Council with Democratic Council members. Refusal by the Democratic Council and their appointed solicitor to answer no questions, effectively hide by silence the true reasons for their action, okay? It goes on and on. This was just a smattering, only 3 minutes of what Mr. Bononis said, and if you don't believe it, here it is. You can see the date. I made this up this afternoon after I received this email from this person. So yeah, you know what? It's not only Jason Bononis and Tom Carochi that see all the corruption. Guess what? The public does too. You will catch up, and you take that orange card home with you and stick it in front of your mirror so you don't have to look at yourself. Do you want me to stop talking? Is that what you're saying? Boy, that's really rude. You see there, public, I still have 10 seconds, 9, and she's got to hold the card up and shut everybody up. Boy, if that isn't just a Democratic thing, it's just lovely. You Democrats, no morals. You just have no end to corruption.
Do we have
Keep it up.
somebody else who wishes to speak?
Ms. Hollowell, why do you have to mock him by chattering on like a second grader? Why do you have to do that? No.
Or having public comment.
Right, like, why do you act like an adult? You sit there and you no. Act like an adult. Act like an adult. I mean, is it that hard? I mean, I know you're childish, but really.
Sorry, we have public comment.
Deborah Esposito. I live on Drifting Drive. Act like an adult. You bring milk cartons in with people's face. Yeah. You call people names. First of all, I don't care if you're a Republican or a Democrat. I'm married to a Republican. No, I do not care. What I care about is decent behavior, respectful conversation. You guys are pathetic. You're childlike. I know it'll go on deaf ear, but if my son ever acted like that, I would be so ashamed, so ashamed. I wish we could send a video to somebody. Just, I mean, your behavior is just despicable, despicable. And I know you're sitting there nodding, but I truly don't care if you're a Democrat or Republican. Let's just try to treat each other with respect and dignity. There's none of that. You name call, you swear at one another, you call people the Three Stooges. It's just ridiculous. It's just an embarrassment when I tell my friends. It's truly an embarrassment.
Go back and read the old minutes. Go back and read the old minutes. Understand the history, ma'am. Understand the history. Don't just come in here and piecemeal it from one meeting that you see. Go back in time and read the other minutes and learn. Educate yourself on it to know what's going on here and when it started. It didn't start with me, ma'am. I assure you it did not start with me.
We're having public comment, Jason.
I will end it. Trust me, I will. Yeah. Right.
Anne Marie Slavic. So I will say this, nothing here happens in a vacuum. So all the people that are up here that want to make everybody think that one little thing occurred, one little thing was said, one insult, one slur, whatever, it doesn't happen that way. When I attended that meeting at the other building and everybody was upset about the landfill and they were there to protest, I actually told my friend who I was there with that I was afraid to stand up and speak. I wouldn't stand up and speak that night because I literally thought, I don't know what's going to happen to myself or my car in the parking lot. That's how nasty people were about closing the landfill, about not expanding the landfill. So there's a lot of things that you said. If people like actually sat down and listened to all of these meetings in a row and listened to the content of the emails that were sent to Mr. Bononis, Mr. Croce, the people that went to their homes and harassed them there over a landfill expansion, it's disgusting. It really, truly is. And if everybody knew what was going on behind the scenes with this council, I guarantee you people would have other comments. But of course, they don't stay for this because they want to say what they want to say. But wait until everybody finds out what really went on and what the solicitor of this township did behind the scenes. And people who, what Mr. Bononis had divulged today with the facts, and the facts speak for themselves. And I know that Victoria tried to shut that conversation down several times, and people need to speak the truth. And if you're reading emails and you're reading documents that you received through Right to Know, that's something that the public needs to hear. So you don't have to tell him to be quiet, Victoria. He needs to speak. But one of the things that disturbed me was the fact that the Hellertown Library approved all of this before the Lower Saucon Township approved paying the money and approving the contract.
Before we knew about it.
Right, well, before you knew about it, that it was going on for sure. That's very disturbing. So the things that happen, if you want to nitpick, everybody here wants to nitpick of the wording, and people are upset, and there's a lot of history here, and people don't know the history, you need to go back and look at it. You need to go back and research it and see what was going on in this township. As far as spending money, every time we come up here and we complain about spending money, or we come up here and say we have to be careful about spending money, all they do is come back and complain about the ball field. And it is a Lower Saucon Township ball field, and it's actually our ball field, instead of something from Hellertown that we're paying for. And
Hellertown children will use it.
Right, of course they will.
Adults.
And what other groups might come and use it? And maybe actually you start charging them money for using it. So I don't know. But I think it's just a shame that the audience comes up here. And I don't want to disparage the library. I support libraries. But there's things that happen behind the scenes that nobody knows about, and they need to be investigated. Thank you.
Thank you.
Do we have anybody else? Okay, seeing none, I'll make the motion to it.
Laura, I have a comment to make. After the diatribe about the zoning of the compost center, one question leaps to mind. That compost center has been there for at least a decade, or maybe two.
Pre-existing,
The
non-conforming.
zoning all illegal back then?
Ask her name for the record.
Andrea Witchen, Lower Saucon Township. Was the zoning of the compost center previously also illegal? And who approved it? When these other people were in charge of council? That's all bullshit, frankly, about the zoning of the compost center. It existed, and according to them, it was legal. There is nothing here. It's a nothing burger. Thank you, ladies, as always.
Thank you.
God bless you.
All right. So I will make the motion to adjourn. The time is 8:40.
I'll second.
We want a roll call to make it official?
Zoptoff Cordero.
Yes.
Mr. Carucci left. Ms. Ray?
Yes.
Yes?
Ms.
Kathy, yes?
Delian? Oh, and Mr. Benonis, yes. Thank you. Motion passes 4-0. Mr. Carucci.
You're gonna call me an asshole. Let the record reflect that Ms. Witchen called me an asshole as I'm walking out the door.
That would not be true.
It is true. I just heard you say it, ma'am. You can dispute it, but I'm standing here. No, I'm not here. You looked at me and you said asshole. That's what you said. Yes, you did.
Let the record reflect that Mr. Benonis is making up information to serve his own services.
No,